Hey, it's me, Jesse T, rolling down the road with my silver shadow. You can see it's nighttime. It's a Saturday in Southern California. I'm just getting done with my day. Your home sold guaranteed. And we're out here doing what we got to do. And I just came back from California City, and I got to thinking about your real estate tip of the day and straight on the point. And I'm going to give you guys a hint that's going to make you multi-millionaires. Now, listen to me closely, because my family made a big mistake when I was 10 in 1970. And I made a big mistake in the early 80s. My mother used to fly, we had a plane, and my mother flew a plane, and she was a real estate agent. And she used to fly out here to Lancaster and land at Fox Airport and gas up and fly back. And what she would do is she'd bring clients with her from Los Angeles or the San Fernando Valley, and she would show them property from the air and fly around and show clients property. You talk about a way of showing property, right? Inventive woman. Just an inventive woman. And so she told my dad, she used to call my dad Daddy, endearing statement. She passed 34 years ago, 30 years ago from Lou Gehrig's disease at just 57 years old. That was the only tragedy in my lifetime. But nevertheless, she would fly out here in our plane and show people property in 1970. I was 10. So I've been around real estate my whole life. And she would go back and she would say to my father, who she called Daddy, she said, Daddy, we need to buy some property out in Palmdale and Lancaster. Now, in 1970, understand something, ladies and gentlemen, there was nothing here. Lancaster and Palmdale and Lake Los Angeles, well, Lake Los Angeles wasn't even here. There was only 17,000 people living in the Antelope Valley. That's it. 1970. They hadn't opened up the freeway yet. You had to get out here by Sierra Highway or fly. They did have a train, but they stopped that train service in the 1960s, I think. But nevertheless, and so they would drive out here and they would look at property. These wide open stretches of just desert. Palmdale was nothing. The big airport was here, Lockheed. That was it. Lancaster was Lancaster. That was a big city out here. Well, they did that for years and years and years. And they never bought. Now, my dad's 90. And I was talking to him today. And I said, you know, Dad, one of the biggest mistakes you guys never did, you never bought any land in Palmdale and Lancaster. My goodness, he's told me, and this is not too often, he said to me, you're absolutely right, Jess. We talked about it, your mom and I talked about it, and we never pulled the trigger. We never did it. And that was a big mistake, because we could have got the land for nothing. And my father at that time was making doctor money. He was just racking the dollars in. I mean, he was making, you know, doctors made 50 grand a year. My dad was making 60 grand a year, 70 grand a year. The average guy in 1970 was making about $10,000 a year, $7,000 to $10,000 a year. So they could have bought. They didn't. Can you imagine had they bought? Oh my God. I mean, what it is today, there's 352,000 people living out here now. And it's still massively growing. Lancaster is going west all the way to 100th Street. Palmdale is kind of clipped because of the Vulcan pit where they dig rock and gravel out of at about 60th Street. So Palmdale is we're starting to see in Palmdale the last patches of these acres of just open land in between neighborhoods start to get purchased up and built on. That's happening. And it's going west. Well, west is very expensive. Lancaster, on the other hand, is going west and east at the same time, and it's exploding. And it's only 15 minutes down the freeway from Palmdale. And it's beautiful. In fact, I like it better than Palmdale because Palmdale's kind of old, you know. Lancaster's like fresh. Even though it's the oldest community out here, there's an old town part of Lancaster, but everything else is. But there's not, you know, all the land has been purchased up and built on. So in the 1980s, early 1980s, I was starting to show clients out here. And I used to drive out here on that new freeway. It was only about 5 or 7 years old. And I came out here and I would say, you know, I'm in real estate now. I'm in real estate in 1985. I was in real estate 6 years. And I said, you know, I got to buy out there. I got to buy out there in Palmdale, Lancaster. This was in 1984, 85. Now, my parents made the grave mistake of buying nothing here in 1970. And I said, you know, when I started bringing people out, I said, I got to buy something. Palmdale was a little bit of growth in Palmdale. Lancaster had a little bit of growth. Mostly Lancaster was growing on the east side and not the west. It was all open. And mostly Palmdale was growing on the east side as well. The west wasn't really open yet. And I said, I got to buy something. I got to buy something. So I batted around the whole decade of the 1980s and I bought diddly squat out here. The biggest mistake I ever made in my life. I should have bought, man, because when I did buy, I was paying, you know, when in the 90s, when I did buy out here, I was paying $70,000, $80,000 for a house. I mean, in 2013, let me see, 2021. 8 years ago, I bought 2 properties out here, one for $72,500, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and another one for $93,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Both of those properties, one is pushing $475,000. The other one is every bit of $425,000. Had I bought in the 80s when there was still lots of dirt, there's corners I drive by and I remember, man, I looked into that corner. There were like 50 acres. I looked into that corner. I was going to buy that corner. And you know, there's a Stater Brothers and a CVS and McDonald's, a gas station, houses all around it now. And I said, Jesus, I have these epiphanies every day now that my office is out here. I was so wrong for not buying out here. I don't know why I didn't. I bought other places. I don't know why my parents didn't. I asked my dad, who's 90, he said, we just never pulled the trigger. They weren't big real estate investors. They got a few pieces, but they weren't really big in. But I was, man. I was buying properties in the 80s all around the San Fernando Valley. Because, you know, I was so tunnel vision about the San Fernando Valley. I mean, I paid I was paying, you know, $130,000 for a house in the San Fernando Valley. I could have bought that house for $60,000 out here. And that house in the San Fernando Valley today is worth, you know, $650,000, but the house out here is worth $500,000. And I would have bought 10 out here versus a couple in the San Fernando Valley. Because I know how I am. I would have just kept buying and buying and buying. I didn't do it though. So I'm out here now every day doing what I do. And I'm saying to myself, this is not going to happen again. This is not going to happen again. I'm 62. This is not going to happen again. I should have did it in my 20s. My parents should have did it when I was 10. I'm going to do it. There's a town called, I told you, I'm going to give you guys something that's going to make you wealthy beyond your belief. I'm going to talk about this on $1 Million Money Making Monday at 5. I'm going to give you a little hint. I know where to buy right now in the Antelope Valley. And if you don't, 20 years from now, you're going to be having this conversation with yourself and your friends on whatever communication device they have. And you're going to go, what the hell did I do? Now, I'm going to tell you that, where that place is, on $1 Million Money Making Monday at 5. But I'm going to tell you something. The mayor of Lancaster and the mayor of Palmdale and all those powers to be are massively widening the streets, putting all the infrastructure in and getting everything cleaned up because they know something. And this is what they know. And this is the hint I'm going to tell you today. This is the real estate hint I'm going to tell you today. This is the tip of the day. Now you're straight on the point. When my parents should have bought in 1970, and there were 20,000 people living here in the Antelope Valley. When I was 10. That's 50 plus years ago. When I wanted to buy here, and I didn't for 10 years through the 80s, I bought everywhere else, but I didn't buy here. There was 125,000 people living out here in the Antelope Valley. I remember seeing the signs on the side of the freeway. The last census in 2020 said that there's 392,000 people living out here in the Antelope Valley. 400,000 people. And the projections are that within the next 10 years, there's going to be 1.5 million. 1.5 million human beings living out here in the Antelope Valley. And the way they're building right now, the new big builders going west and east, I'm telling you, yes. Can you imagine 3.25 times the population that's out here now? They gotta live somewhere. There's no rental units. People don't rent here. They buy here. Why? Because they can't afford the San Fernando Valley. The same house we're talking about, $400,000, $450,000 here, which is a wickedly nice house, is $1 million anywhere in the San Fernando Valley. Even Pacoima's popping $700,000. A $700,000 house out here is $2 million in the San Fernando Valley. That's why people buy out here. To live in a house, they'll give up the drive to make it happen. 1.5 million people in 10 years. I have the perfect place. It's right in the path of progress. Right in the path of population growth. It is inevitable. The next place to buy. And I am buying up as much as I economically can. Because I'm not going to be 20 years from now when I'm 82. I'm not going to be, and then my teeth fall out, and I dribble on my shirt, right? And say, I should have bought it. When did I buy it? It's 62. Telling you. You know what housing's going to be? Yeah. $93,000 7 years ago. I bought a house. It's worth $475,000, $450,000 right now today. $93,000. That's 7 years. So let's say 20 years from now, I'm not being grandiose, I'm being conservative. 20 years from now, that house is going to be worth $1 million. And it'll be paid off. You buy 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those, and you are a multi-millionaire. Monday, $1 million Money Making Monday at 5 o'clock, I'm going to tell you where you need to buy. It's where I'm buying right now. I'm pulling together every dime I got. And getting OPM, other people's money. All the things I talk about, I'm doing. Because I know for an absolute fact where the next real estate boom, explosion is going to happen. I'm talking explosion. Your Home Sold Guaranteed, your real estate tip of the day. Straight on the point, little long, I know. If you want to sell your house, hey, if I don't sell it, I'll buy it. That's right, real simple. Your Home Sold Guaranteed. 1-844-402-4222, extension 1072. And guys, look, if you buy a house through us or you trade up to a house and buy one through us, I will promise and guarantee this. It's our insurance program. We call it the buyback guarantee. And what we'll do is, when that happens, if you don't like your house in 18 months, I will buy it back from you for what you paid for it or sell it for more. Can't get better than that. From yours truly, me, Jesse T, and your Home Sold Guaranteed. Palmdale, Lancaster, Antelope Valley, Santa Clarita Valley, San Fernando Valley, and all the greater Los Angeles area with a primary headquarters in the Antelope Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster. We love to help you. Give us a call, won't you? $1 Million Money Making Monday. I'm going to relinquish the secret of where you should be buying next. Don't be my mom and dad. Don't be